strength can do for you. Swing for the fences like the pros, crafting specialized protective gear to keep, or building clever weapons to wield. Regularly study your Vault Tech provided materials to prepare for survival. And to answer the question, do you know what makes you special?
What's up, y'all? Good to see you guys. Doing another playthrough of Fallout 4. I'll let it live, I reckon. This time. Go to the DLC spots. This is that next gen upgrade. Saw in a video that the pros are all synthetic robots, and the Institute sent their spine, yeah, from the beginning. I can believe it, and I can see it. Got some gunfighting. Shots going off up here. What the fuck is all this fighting going on at? We'll come back to that later. So we'll go check what's going on in here. back to that in a second. Close. Let me see. Oh, let me see. Do some chilling. Listen to a little bit of music, playing a little bit of Fallout. Listen to that Electronic. I like you, lady. Man, who don't love this old music, man? Fucking a real asshole. You know who else is an asshole? People that have tried Debbie and don't like it. I was about to say people that have never tried Debbie are assholes, but that's not their fault.
Hey there. Fine, so. Just put up everything you've got and let's see. I'll take a look, sure.
This is only the beginning.
Morning, Swarm Man. Welcome to Tipfall. How you know I am? You know I'm here too. As always, Xavier Guerrero, and on the ones, two, J Nice, Juicy Johnny, J Dog. Yeah, live. Gold and Silver Studios. Go to samtriply.gold. Use the promo code tinfoil and get in it. Join the Wolf Pack. I'm telling you, I got people coming to my shows all the time, dropping, giving me silver. I'm loving it.
Giving you silver?
Yeah, they show up, they give me silver.
Someone bought T-shirts in gold. They're like, hey Sam, can I get a T-shirt like this? And he pulls out a gold coin, and Sam's like, you know, whatever you want.
He gave me a gold coin, a silver coin, and he gave me.
Oh, cool. So you have a coin man out of 10, probably. That some guy just got a nice ass T-shirt. Yeah. But go over there, samtriply.gold.
Yeah.
Go get yourself some gold and become part of the Wolf Pack.
Guys, I hope you're doing well. I hope you guys want to thank everybody who came out this weekend to see.
It's all about trade. It's all about trade value, you know what I mean?
Leonardo, Johnny, and myself. Yeah, dude, here's the weird.
I'm trading ammo so I can get me a damn more power cells.
But guys, so just go to samtriply.com and check out the dates. Hopefully this comes out by the time the dates are tonight. Tonight I have the greatest comedy chaos I've ever put together since
It's
the old
amazing,
days.
huh?
Since the old days.
What a lineup.
Look at that lineup, just nothing but murder. And then the second show.
I will be there.
Oh, you will? Nice, buddy. And then, of course, we'll be at the La Jolla Comedy Store with my good friend Brian Moses, who gave me an N-word pass. He said I could say it once a show. Yeah. Hey, dude, we'll get it.
How did you though? Is that all you need?
Hard R?
Hard R?
I never go hard R, buddy.
Hey,
I'm an A guy.
all you need is once a show.
Yeah, I get it. Well, dude, listen to the lyrics, broken sim. I break it down. My pronoun joke has become my free bird. Okay, so just know that. Yeah. So, anyways, there's a lot going on the website, but I wanted to just get into real quick. We're gonna do a little something different here before we bring in the guests. Obviously, everybody knows about the roast of Tom Brady.
Yo, we talked about that a little bit a couple days ago, us.
And what did you guys think about it? Or have you seen clips of it? Obviously, it's very interesting to me because, Tony Hinchcliffe seems to have been added late.
Oh, really?
Because they announced him late. And, Tony Hinchcliffe, I didn't see the ads for that. But Tony Hinchcliffe was added late. And then all of a sudden, he just goes up there and just nails it. Dude.
Oh, I remember. You came in with what? What'd you watch? Was it Sunday night you watched it? It came out Sunday. And you came in Monday morning. You're like, did you watch what Tony said?
Yeah, did you watch that?
My phone was blowing up.
Just absolutely annihilated it. Dude, again, I'm getting into this whole thing about preparation. It's like luck equals preparation meets opportunity. And that's Tony Hinchcliffe. Tony Hinchcliffe's whole comedy career was about that moment. Was that moment right there. And he nailed it. But I want to get into what this means culturally more. And a couple things. I did a live stream on the way here to the show. Um, I did a live stream talking about this kind of discussion that people are having right now of how they feel that the comics who have blown up. I want to get into that. I want to get into that. I want to get into how people feel that the comics who've blown up off of Joe Rogan aren't organic, and I want to get into this notion that comedy is back. Okay. First
Can
of
I
all,
just read a Washington Post headline really quickly? The Tom Brady roast
click on it and read some of it.
was cruel, misogynistic, and not very funny. Is what the Washington Post.
So I just recently posted a funny meme that said, I'm not. If you go to my Instagram, you'll see it. It goes, I'm not a marriage counselor or anything, but maybe if you thought about talking less and cooking your husband a steak, that might work better for you. And bro, the amount of people losing their mind on that post, it's so hilarious. Will you go to it? Will you go to it real quick? You know, and it's just like the way people lost their fucking skulls on it.
I'm not ready yet. I'm almost ready.
It'll be like one of the last. Here we go. Go to Sam. Go to my Instagram. Sorry. Go to my Instagram. Go to my yeah.
Oh my god. Power armor
Go
back.
down. Go. There it is. There it is. There it is. Okay. Go there. Okay. This is just. But if you read it right there, you see the comments, and women are losing their fucking skulls for no other reason. What are you doing, dude?
They edited out the booing to Kim Kardashian when she came on.
Look at these. So this is Tony. She's a friend of mine. I knew her through acquaintance. We did shows together. I had her on my podcast, and of course, she was going off about she's like, we gotta take down the patriarchy because women are convinced that they're held back by men. This is their comment. So if you hear this, right, and she's a comedian, and she's my friend. Have a sense of humor then. Yeah, it makes me sad that dudes want to relate to women in this way. I get it, haha, funny, women should shut up, yup, yup. Yeah, it's the truth. It's an indicator of how afraid people are of genuine intimacy, connection, and vulnerability. The gender divide is getting so boring, fake news. And it's just like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? Like the gender divide? What is the gender divide? What is going on here? Like, what is about that post makes you think there's a gender divide? And like, how are you a comic? There's nothing worse than comedians who get angry at jokes. It upsets me. Now, if someone talks about your family, I can understand you wanting to go to his house and beat his ass. Okay? I get it. That's fine. But to sit there and take a meme that's honestly funny and make everything that is provocative literal, it destroys comedy.
Who
Okay?
talks about the gender divide, let's call it that, more than women, by the way?
Who
They
shits
shit on guys constantly.
It's unbelievable.
All day,
but
all
this
night.
notion like we can't be provocative anymore is the biggest problem we have. And even the notion that we have to only be
I'd like
provocative
to
and
trade some
roast,
items.
where like this is allowed.
Yeah, that's funny, right? Yeah, you're so right. Dude. I never thought about it that way. It's almost like they put kind of a fence around.
They're like, hey, dude, we're just gonna let these people do this at one time. It's so crazy, right? So we get into the. I was gonna talk some broken sim, but we talk about it here.
Well, can we give a shout out to Lisa? She says now we have to hear a whole rant about how he really loves women on Broken Sim. At least she listens to Broken Sim.
Yeah, I mean she's totally
Yeah,
right.
same as the apologize to women whenever he gets to stop.
And then somebody said something very funny, which is Brenda Pontiff. Absolutely, provided he makes enough to afford the steak.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Exactly. And that's how you disarm this kind of
That's
thing.
how you do it. And that's how you tee off. Instead of freaking crying.
Have fun with it.
So we go back to this Washington State.
I got it right here.
Over here.
Yeah.
Tom Brady must really need money or attention.
Wait there.
Proof that he's a bro. He needed it bad enough to do that Netflix roast in which he gallantly sacrificed the mothers of his children
older.
Yes.
I mean, she's getting hot,
I'm sorry.
dude.
I wouldn't
But-
be
Actually,
able to
freaky,
talk
too.
right now. I'm busy.
We don't know that. Why do you have to break down women like that? Right. But, I mean, she does jokes on her pussy.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go. But, I mean, like, who are you talking about? Are you talking about Nikki Glazer, who absolutely destroyed everybody, and everybody called Gronk stupid, right? And I'm sorry, but I think this is the best thing I've ever Tom Brady is so smart for doing this. Tom Brady is so smart for doing this, dude.
Oh, why would you say that?
Because it makes him more human than any other GOAT has ever been human before. There's never been a GOAT that has allowed himself to be made fun of like Tom Brady did at this roast.
You're saying LeBron would never let himself get roasted like that?
No,
I agree. Yeah. Okay.
Jordan especially too.
Oh, yeah.
Look, Jordan is not a nice person. The things we've heard about Jordan, he's not a nice guy, right? He's difficult. Kobe, difficult, right? He's literally like, dude, nobody. Tom Brady is the most real dude that is the greatest to ever do it.
And by the way, this woman, she looks like one of the old
Yeah, let's see how unhappy she is. Let's play a game called How Many Cats Does She Have?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All of the yes.
It's like taking shit literal. You've destroyed comedy because you made it literal. Okay?
By the time the 3-hour Bulgarian parade was over, there were two conclusions. Football players can't do fun, only force. And Brady wasn't the one who got roasted. He stuck his exes to his head.
And that's why it's brilliant! I bet you there is a fucking clause where they can't talk shit about each other, and he didn't, and he got all these comics to do it. Dude, Kevin Hart had a great line. It's like she fucked her instructor, and she's still a white belt. Like, that's such a great line!
Only sycophants, blinded by Brady's 7 Super Bowl rings, could have found the performance comedic.
But,
Are you blinded by a Super Bowl ring?
This chick, and like, even though I love Tony, dude, get ready, man, because this pandering that was done to you forever is dead. It's dead. This is Netflix trying to keep up with the internet in comedy. That's what Netflix did. That's why they're like, dude, we gotta let go. Oh, dude, how gay are you? You look like a gay Tom Brady. Like, how funny is that? And then they go, dude, it's so crazy that you're a patriot when you really look like a Confederate fag. Dude, that is so fucking funny.
Listen, dude, it's like she doesn't understand comedy.
Johnny,
Brady's uncomfortable plastic grin was accompanied by the canned hee-haws of fake laughter from a crowd whose jaws were stretched tight from the effort of cackling over broadly at lines like this from
Listen
Kevin
to
Hart.
me. There's the progressives, bro. The progressives always get to a place, dude. Always get to a place where they get deaf aired. If you listen to my pronoun joke, okay? You read the comments, bombed in the room.
No.
Hey, dude, crush.
This weekend in Chicago, it was
Chicago. People are like, oh, you won't do that in Chicago. I go, bro.
With the black wait staff.
Hot black ass.
We tipped very well at the end. Let's not forget that. But he didn't care, and they were laughing.
Nobody cared.
Nobody
They
cared.
all laughed. Nobody cared.
But do you think? Okay, you just said obviously they dropping bag over there on Netflix. But do you think that would trickle down to YouTube? Do you think eventually we'll go back to maybe us being able to say it?
We've been talking that YouTube has been kind of nice to us lately.
I mean, especially with the hammer for words.
Which is weird because usually during the election, hip hop was up.
Well,
Not quite there yet. I think we get a little closer.
Okay, yeah.
but it's interesting. I mean, some stuff has been happening on Twitter. I found out why my blue check mark went because I changed my profile thing. Okay, and so you do that, they have to make sure it's nothing weird like that. But you know, if you study it, it's just the greatest thing ever. And it's like, here we go now. And there's this old theory, there's this old saying that the projects get made by accident. Like if something makes it to the screen, somebody fucked up, right? And there is a large segment of Hollywood that deep down inside probably hates this roast. Not because of what it follows this has to have an achievement. It goes back to what we're talking about with Brady, right? And, I mean, with P. Diddy, where he's like, I learned don't work with talented people. Work with less talented.
You said that?
Yeah. He goes, I learned that. He worked with all these guys at first. They all just like, fuck you, I'll just do it on my own. And now he's like, I don't work with less talented because you can control them easier. And that is Hollywood.
So cynical. What does this make you think about Netflix, though? Because I mean, it's one of the few really. Well, no, I mean, they've done good specials, but it's a little confusing because Netflix normally, recently, has sucked.
No, the specials aren't good.
Yeah.
The specials aren't good.
Right. I mean, how'd that happen? Is it an accident,
Because
like you're saying?
They give you one little things to stay on Netflix. Here you go.
They
Here you go.
have to do that, Johnny. Like HBO Max has to have a Game of Thrones every once in a while to get you to pay, and then they just bombard you with dog shit. So it's like, this is what they have to do. And they don't like that. I guarantee you they're going to do this again because it got so much heat, and you're just going to see it slowly tinker back. I mean, it's the same thing that happened with Last Comic Standing, right? The first two seasons were all the old school savages who were like road legends, and then it became, let's cast it.
God, they killed that show, didn't
They
they?
killed it.
They
They killed it. But going back to this, like black jokes, gay jokes, everyone got shit on equally. The only person who didn't get shit on was Tom Segura. And my cousin's like, why did anyone hate Tom Segura? Because Tom is love. Tom Segura is like love. And it kind of gets back to this rant that I just did on the drive in. It's like this notion that like Cat Williams goes, oh, he blew up these 5 guys that aren't funny. It's like, no, it's not true. It's not true at all. Like, he's blown up fucking killers. And the notion that like Joe Rogan blowing somebody up is unorganic is the most annoying shit I've ever heard in my life. Like, being blown up by the industry is the organic
Yeah,
part.
yeah, that's such a good point. Yeah.
Right? It's like, dude, you have no clue who you're pitching to right now. You guys have no clue the process of getting anything on television. And it's fucking awful. You're pitching to, like, the staff of BuzzFeed. If you study who, like, has been going after me on this pronoun joke, you study it, it's like all the woke people, it's either super woke or super unsuccessful and ugly. I can't tell you how many guys from couches in their living room are talking shit on my joke. And you're like, why? Why is this? Because, like, dude, all these woke motherfuckers, they just don't want comedy they can't compete against. Right? They can't compete in that world. There used to be a niche. The alt scene used to be a niche. It'd be like late night on HBO, late night on Cartoon Network. Then it became the norm, and comedy bottomed out.
And everything else seems fake by comparison.
All of it's fake, dude. All of it's fake, except for videos with that they can count the number of times it's been played, and even that's manipulated. Hey guys, real quick, I want to tell you about our good friends at Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. Okay, not only are they the sponsor of the studio, but they're our good friends, and we love what they're doing over there. Okay, so listen, we live in a time of fake news, fake politics, and fake wars with real consequences, and it all starts with our fake fiat currency, also known as the U.S. dollar. If you want to guard your savings against runaway inflation and geopolitical turmoil, then I recommend my good friends at Wise Wolf Gold and Silver Exchange. No transaction is too big or too small. Start or roll over an existing IRA 401k and check out their monthly subscription service called Wolfpack. It starts with as low as $50 a month to have precious metals delivered directly to you. Go to samtripoli.gold and click the link. Join Wolfpack, promo code TINFOIL, and to get a free 1964 silver Kennedy half dollar. Come on! You can also call or text them at 888-770-1776. And remember, in a world of bulls and bears, be the wolf. Let's go.
I love that they What's a Hollywood animal? No matter what anybody tells you, you play favorites too. You know.
No, and Rory can play favorites too.
We're gonna hear it later in this episode. How Carson was,
wasn't like,
nasty
yeah,
fuck.
dude. If the booker of the Tonight Show didn't like you, you were fucked. The guy literally jumped off a building because he lost his Tonight Show because he had a bad set late night. That's how bad it was. And now let's say Johnny Carson passes on you, and then the industry passes on you. Back in the day, how would you work? You wouldn't.
Good.
You're done.
Thanks so much, man.
It's so much better. And the notion that Joe Rogan, who's helped so many freaking people, is somehow like, dude, if you study Death Squad, then you study how he helped influence Gas Digital, like Ari leaving LA, going to New York and hooking up with those guys, and how those guys rode through the whole fucking COVID political correctness, and now people are going to New York to kiss the ring to get their fan base. That's how powerful Legion of Skanks is now. That's how powerful Gas Digital is now.
I mean, everyone forgets about the iPod Fun.
Dude, guess who greenlit the name? This guy right here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Joe and Brian Redband were like, dude, we got a couple names. They listened to me. The one was like Ice House Chronicles. I go, I like Ice House Chronicles.
You're the best with me.
Yeah, and they go, that's it. That's the name.
Nothing there now.
And that's why, like, I have to start getting out.
By the way, can we give Red Band some credit? You know what I mean?
All
That
the
guy gets
credit.
no credit.
All the credit.
I mean, I feel like he's just not you could go around to like people and he wouldn't be a name, but that guy's, I mean, God bless him. He's
Dude,
a nice guy too.
if you study the history of comedy, okay, the history of comedy, Death Squad is a part of that. And it's not that Death Squad was the first podcast network, but I really do feel it was the first podcast network that really didn't care about the industry. Now, Joe Rogan talks about how Anthony Cumia really like inspired him to do a podcast. I know that Adam Carolla did as well. But in terms of a network, like network shows, like in terms of like the whole every show having a theme, think about all the people that were on Death Squad in the original days. By the way, this world that we live in now, where it's like nothing but people, these YouTube channels now pop up like where they just critique comedy and comedians. Have you seen this? There's this whole industry now of
Like reaction videos?
well, no, they're like almost like I don't know how to.
Drama. They'll be like, oh, you guys want to hear a whole drama between Sam and this
They're
podcast?
basically like a weird kind of
TMZ, yeah.
TMZ, I guess.
Kind of like ESPN for comedy?
Comedy, yeah, where they just criticize.
Well, he's saying that they're like recapping beats, but
Yeah, they're doing all that. They're recapping beats. They're talking about what's going on in comics live.
I thought you meant they were like watching specials.
And you'll watch like they're because the more salacious the title, the more people are gonna click on it.
They make shit up like the reason why Joe Rogan and Andrew Schultz don't like each other, and it'll be some random shit when they love each other, they're friends, but for some reason they'll make, you know how it is, they just make shit up.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's just dumb. So the long story short is like Death Squad was a big part of that.
That's way back to the first page of Death Squad. It's like Podcasts, Little Esther's Pod, and then your mom's house. But they want
Yeah. Little Esther was a big part of that. Then there's people like Brandon Walsh, me, that were all big. Jason Tebow was a Joey Diaz, Duncan Trussell.
That's what made me want to come out here. It wasn't Hollywood.
But this notion right now that this narrative with this roast is that common. You got Nikki Glazer hopes Ghislaine Bunchen forgives her for Tom Brady roast. Why?
Yeah, do you think that's even...
Yeah, I think, and I love Nikki, and she's... the reason you gotta like Nikki is because she's extremely hard worker. What's her name?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Oh, Giselle Bunchen.
Yeah.
But why...
Which is straight up Nazi, everybody. That is a German last name in Latin America. She's descendants of Nazis. All right?
Well, why would you roast someone and then apologize and then say like you didn't? You don't think you just covered
Because
your tracks?
Tom's ex-women are upset with the roast. And I think it's the smartest thing he's ever done because he didn't say anything and they lit them the fuck up. And guess what? Giselle Bunchins, you fucking Nazi. Hey man, the energy you put out is the energy you get back.
But if you're in court, like she's
How
allowed.
sweaty was Jeffrey Ross, by the way? Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh, hey, can you mention how you like how Kim Kardashian poses?
What do you mean?
You,
Oh, like when she's going down the walk at the fucking. Well, you know, it's like she got booed there, and she took it in stride.
They booed her?
They booed her hard. It's so funny, dude, this is all the fucking beta cocks of Hollywood. Like, dude, it's everybody from a private school. That's the audience. It was all private school kids who just like back in the day were like, we decided it was talent. That's what I loved about this. Like, dude, all these dude, they're the worst. Dude, they're what? Dude, that's the fact that anyone crushed there is hilarious, especially the way Tony absolutely annihilated.
what do you think about? What do you think about this, Sam?
Yeah,
What do you think about that?
Netflix edits Tom Brady's roast to cut booze out Kim Kardashian. Well, they probably want to work with her. Yeah, but that's what he was. But yeah, I mean, who gives a fuck? Everyone, it was live. Everyone knows
cut
that.
out her getting booed.
But that isn't live. That's like editing when.
It is live, but now they're editing it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but then that's like editing when like what's her name did the fucking when she messed up her notes at the Super Bowl. It's gotta be you can't edit it. It's live.
At the end of the day, who gives a fuck? I don't care. It doesn't. Its damage is done. Blood's in the water. Kim Kardashian isn't liked.
It'll get more attention.
Yeah, it's just gonna get more attention. And I guarantee you, I mean, maybe Kim complained. And there are people.
For sure.
But it's like everyone knows already. But it's like fuck you guys. It's not like you've got this chick crying who I like, Tony. But it's like stop, cry harder. I mean, just cry harder. It's like it's like dude. Go to my thing. Like, dude, the days of political correctness are coming to an end. But this notion that comedy, Jelly Roll's gonna be on American Idol. Good for him. Good for him.
The new pronoun I've never heard.
Let's go to my thing, dude. Like, there's this fucking thing about it's literally a true story. Germany made it so you have to get vaccinated to get assisted suicide. It's a true story. And then you have people like pushing back on me posting that. And they're like, okay, nice old data and blah blah blah. I'm like, cry harder, pussy. It's all coming to an end. Well, you gotta go to my fucking thing and see it. You don't see the German, you have to be fully vaccinated.
I see it.
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
In Germany, you must be fully vaccinated before your death.
Yeah. But what's the you can't say this.
Okay.
I mean,
well, it's just like I feel like it's important that we talk about this as we get into John Barber's episode.
Dude, I adore that guy.
It's a great episode, guys. But here we go. This is what we're talking about here. And the notion that comedy is back. Go check out my Sam Tripoli comedy page on Instagram, and you'll see what Daddy's been hammering for fucking ever. Okay? The days are done. The days are done. It's over. Your feelings, fuck your feelings.
Oh, I see. The guy's saying it's because it's
Yeah, and it's like, cry harder, bitch. Just like, go fuck yourself. Like, if I posted that upset you more than the article itself. Yeah, dude. Good for Tony. Good for Nikki. Good for everybody up there. Stop player hating, okay? These guys are good dudes. And it's just like, when it comes to like Tom Segura, it's just like, I'm gonna tell you something. Tom is a generous man. doula. I didn't even know what he was talking about, but I started crying. And then I realized what it was. It was the greatest gift you could give anybody in your life. And it saves people. So,
What is the doula?
the doula's an
Someone helps you, right? Yeah, someone helps
so
you.
let you sleep so they'll take care of your kids. You need a doula?
No, I knew one. Okay.
Oh, Johnny, nice, Johnny, nice. But that's it. So I wanted to tell you guys, that about my opinion on the rose. I thought it was great. I think if you're upset about it, you're in for a world of hurt in the future.
Right.
Nobody gives a fuck about. Comedy never left. I've been pounding people. Okay, go to San
People
Diego.
left comedy for a while.
No, the problem was that we let the dumb dictate comedy, and we've decided that's over because there's too much fine print. There's too much fine print to comedy to take your rules seriously. So try harder, bitch. Okay, try harder.
Okay, so then if it's, how long till you can say the F word and we can't come?
What do you mean, faggot?
Yeah, it's still kind of
You say
iffy.
faggot?
No, but you still say it, people are like,
No, nigga is going to be and that's the only word that wasn't said there. And it was said by Sam J, who did great too. And everyone laughed as Sam J called a white guy nigga, which is all I've been doing the whole time, is call myself a real nigga. So I don't understand why you guys are angry. Sam J just did what I'm doing, calling white people the N-word, which is what I've been pushing. We need to normalize calling white people the N-word. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this little thing. We don't do it often. So I want to talk about John Barber. He's a pioneer, and he goes into some really deep dives, and he has a fun conversation about roasting and censorship, and how if you guys think Joe Rogan blowing up his friends is inorganic, you're going to realize what entertainment had to go through to fucking the gymnastics they had to go through, the hurdles they had to jump to deal with people who could never do what they wanted to. And that's my problem with the industry. Kill the industry until the industry works with us. And we don't have to work with them. Go fuck yourself, okay? And your whole thing, like, you guys are like, oh my god, it's misogyny and racism. Dude, literally they gave an Emmy to a show that was about how two Asians can't drive. Okay? Well, Asians can say that, but white people can't say that. Do you understand how dumb that is? Kill it. Yeah. Beef is the longest Asian joke ever told. And by the way, I love Ali Wong. But that's a joke everyone does. Suck it. Suck my dick with your fucking wah. Alright? Alright, before I bring in John, real quick, go to sanfordleague.com. Check out the dates. I am going to be in Bellflower this Saturday night. Killer show. That is Saturday night, 7 p.m. Then on Tuesday night, one of the greatest comedy chaoses I've ever put together. It's so close to selling out. Grab your tickets now. Grab them now. Go to thecomedystore.com. Tim Dillon, Bobby Lee, Andrew Santino, Live Schlesinger, Justin Caruso, Tony Rock, and then Dustin Yarbrough, and my friend Zach Holmes will all be on there. Grab your tickets now. Then I'm going to be in La Jolla at the end of the month. My good friend Ryan will be joining me as I drop the hammer of the gods on some unsuspecting fools. Let's go. Okay, let's get into my good friend John Barber. All right, let's get into it. So excited to have this guest back on the show. He's been on numerous times, and every time it is an honor and privilege. He is a pioneer in the television industry, in particular television comedy, and he's an expert in JFK, been studying his whole life, and we're so excited to have him back. Please welcome one of my favorite people to talk to, John Barber. How are you, John? Again.
Well, Sam, I must tell you, Uncle Sam, you're one of my very favorite people on the internet. One I enjoy watching and one I enjoy listening to. You guys cover very controversial subjects, and you do it with an open mind and a really terrific sense of humor. So I am honored to be with you.
Thank you, brother. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me, and I love you very much. I enjoy hearing your experiences in the world, your life, and your thoughts on current events. John, before we get into a couple things, can you just tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and where they can find you?
Well, I can't tell you a little bit about myself. It's in my book, which is called Your Mother's Not a Virgin.
That gets me every time.
Yeah, which is a title inspired by my first conversation with Jim Garrison, the DA of New Orleans, which we might get to later. It's the subtitle is "The Bumpy Life and Times of the Canadian Dropout: The Change the Face of American Television." I come from. I was born in the charity ward of the Salvation Army Hospital in Toronto. So I come from a very dysfunctional family long before it was possible. And the fight between my mother and father was so severe that in 1939, my father figured he'd be better off fighting the Germans. So he enlisted in the Canadian Army, went overseas, got the Order of the British Empire, and never came home. But I went searching for him in 1960 and found him, which we might get into later.
Wow.
And my mother took up with about 2 dozen uncles that I didn't even know I had. And they came to booze with her and to bed with her and beat her. And I was literally on my own on the streets when I was 6 years of age. And being a Canadian, I spent most of my time in a hockey rink. I spent a lot of time or some time in jail and in the library, which was just across from the jail. And at 16, my mother read me a note she got from some of her relatives in Scotland, where my mother and father both were from, saying my father was coming home again. I remember going to school, Sam, and all the exam papers came. And I listen, I never studied, ever. I'm just gifted with, I guess, a good memory, whatever it was. And one of the reasons that I was an honor student means 75 or plus in your grade average. Now, I was sort of sitting in the middle of the room with a teacher, Miss Britton, really pretty teacher. And I was in the 5th grade. And the only way I could get close to her desk was become an honor student, which I did. And I became so adept. I had to sit in front of her. They heard a little about me, and I was always dropping my rubber. That's because I would drop the pencil. He would hear it, and I'd get down on my hands and knees, and I'd look up her skirt.
Dude, I did the exact same thing, bro. I'm so with you on that. And to this day, looking up skirts is this weird kind of cheekbone flavor that I'm like, I'm still, because I was a kid and loved it, now I'm like,
50 years old. Yeah, well, no, I was in the 5th grade. I was only like 12. And I got up and she pounded me on the head with a ruler. Oh my God. She says, never mind, Mr. Barber. They're white. And then she dragged me back. You down to the principal's office and where they beat the shit out of me. They would get us leather, steel straps and water, back their hands so they would bleed because they had corporal punishment in the school. So at 17, I had become a very adept gambler. Now this is rather unbelievable. I started gambling when I was 13 or 14. Everything I could work for or steal, and I stole more than I worked for because I didn't want to get up at 6 in the morning to sell papers in the freezing weather in Toronto. And I managed to steal quite a bit, but I would lose it at these games. There were 8 people that I played with, and not one of them I liked. The oldest one was about 40, and I thought, what are you doing here, for God's sake? I don't think you like these people, you know? And I was only there because I needed a friend. And I said, I don't want friends like this. So I decided I was going to become an expert on gambling, which I did. I picked up 2 books from the library, Scarney on Dice and Scarney on Cards, and I memorized them all. And in 4 months, I won. Now imagine, this is like early 1950s. I won $750.
Damn. How old?
I was about 15 at that time. I just want to show you something.
$750 at 15 years old is like $2 million.
We covered this book.
Yeah.
See that blue suit?
Yeah.
This is taken front of the old old Flamingo Hotel. This is the suit I bought to leave Canada when 17 to go to Las Vegas to become a professional gambler.
Hey guys, real quick, I want to tell you about our friends at Prize Picks. Okay, Prize Picks is the #1 American fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It is the most fun and exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. That's 100 times your cash. It's that simple. All right, Johnny, Johnny, you've been doing it. What do you think?
Yeah, Sam, I've already pulled out my money twice. Major success. One really cool thing they do is that star players mean more on Prize Picks. So if you keep an eye out for those star players on the board, you actually get food. You're winning like 10%. It's crazy.
That is crazy, dude. That is crazy. And they got WNBA action too, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, all you gotta do is
Caitlin Clark.
okay, check out Caitlin Clark. You go for the more, and then you team that with something else. Bang! I'm telling you,
They have this for her that if she scores over half a point,
Half a point.
half a point.
So she needs to score a point.
A point. That's all you gotta do. I'm just telling you. You want to say the WNBA? This is how you do it. Get people who want that action. Get in on it. Get that action going. So here's what we want you to do, guys. Download the app today and use the code TINFOIL for the first deposit match up to $100. The lowest. $100. Make you holler, okay? That's all you gotta do, dude. Just go there. You go download the app today and use the code TINFOIL for your first deposit match up to $100. Johnny's winning, dude. I've won a couple. Xavier loves. Who do you love?
Soccer, dude. I play soccer. Caitlin Clark.
Okay, he loves Caitlin Clark. Get on it, Prize Picks. We thank you for sponsoring the show.
So in any event, I did that, and this is really
What up, Best Life?
I just walked across the bridge at Niagara Falls. They asked me where I was going, and I said, well, I just want to see the American side of the falls. And they said, how long are you going to be here? I said, a day. So I said, okay, let me in. So I go to the train station. I'm on my way to Las Vegas to become a professional gambler. And in northern Las Vegas, the train stops. And I think, oh, shit. The RCMP had called them and said, stop that train. Johnny Barber, this thief, is wanted. Which was true. So I got off the train, and the closest place I could get to, Sam, was Lake Tahoe. So I get on the bus, I go to Lake Tahoe, and I get on in front of the Cal Neva Lodge. Now you can imagine this. As a kid, I lived in the theater, and for a nickel I could see 2 movies. And my favorite was, of course, Jimmy Stewart movies and Frank Capra movies. That's why I fell in love with America. And Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney. So I walk in there, and it's like walking into an MGM set. And the first thing I do is I buy the Stetson to put on my head so that, I'm not all.
So let's go through the new weapons.
Whatever that expression is.
We're gonna try them out.
Oh my God, it was like a Technicolor world for me. And I walked around in a while, and I soaked it up, and then I went to the end of the craft table, and I started playing craft, and I was holding my own, and people started looking at me. I thought, oh my God, they know I'm only 17 years of age. They're going to call the law on me. And I thought, oh God, what am I going to do? But I kept doing it. And then pretty soon people at the bar, Sam, were looking over my way. Then I realized they were not looking at me. They were looking past me. So I turned around to see what they were looking at. And walking through these glass doors, arm in arm, was Frank Sinatra with Dan Giancana. And his overcoat was draped over him like an Italian Superman. They had about 5 Italian fraternity guards. Everybody got deathly quiet as they walked by. A week earlier, I had seen in the movies The Clouds Go By, the Jerome Kern story, and there's Sinatra at the end.
I'm on the PS5.
Singing Old Man River, every hand is Paul Robeson. And 25 years later, by accident, I was his private writer for 4.5 years.
Whoa! You just went to some there that I was going to wait till that.
That's the P5 update.
Mark and Steve Allen. Is that right? You Mark
Well, you know what? I'm going to jump forward and tell you a couple of stories about Dean Martin, if you don't mind.
I would love it. Dean Martin's one of my comedy heroes. I grew up on Martin Lewis.
I just feel bad.
I'm on the PlayStation Network as the Lord Westfall 6'9". Lord Westfall 6'9".
They're just churning out so much new stuff, you never get any of the old stuff.
Well, it's heartbreaking you don't get the old stuff, Sam, because my wife and I feel we lived in the golden age of American entertainment and politics. And the politics ended on November 22nd, 1963, when the government murdered John Kennedy in a public assassination just like they did Julius Caesar. Anyway, to Dean Martin. Dean Martin was by far the most
Yeah, I wasn't, whenever the PS3 was out, I wasn't really gaming that much. I was, but I was gaming on the Xbox. The 360, to be specific. But I am more of a PlayStation person. The PS1 was my first system.
And Dean Martin used to lose $2,000 a day, every day.
What's a good little escape from reality, I'd say. Yeah.
One day he sees me playing with my 6-year-old son, hitting the balls, and he comes over and he says, John, hey, that's your son? I said, yeah, Christopher. He goes over to Christopher and he says to Christopher, how would you like to play 18 holes of golf with me? My son says, Daddy, can I do that? I said,
Yeah, of course, classic attacking is dope.
what did Dean get? Now, the 2 guys that hustled him lied about their handicaps, but Dean didn't care.
Yeah, I ain't been able to get hold of my buddies. Those are the ones I usually be doing rabbit hole radio with. We play games and shit, but they've been doing their own life. Have you seen the new? Have you seen that Fallout show?
So about 14 years ago, I was remembering that story, and I thought I'd send Dean a thank you note, because he used to send me notes all the time because he loved my work. And he told me not to tell people that he loved my work about the assassination and stuff like that. That was private. And
Made me want to start playing again. Made millions want to start playing.
he never recovered from the plane crash of his son into the mountains in San Bernardino. But now back to Dean. When I got on his show, his first show, he was hired to be like the Italian Ed Sullivan. Now, here's a singer, here's an acrobat, here's a puppet, stuff like that. That was not Dean, and he was
What are you watching on TV, phone?
for lunch and thanked him for being his director. And he was off to make some money.
Curious about how people watch this shit.
Greg says, "You dumb fucking dago. We'll see you in television. Those fucking movies you're making." He says, "But they don't want me anymore." He says, "Because you're not an Italian Ed Sullivan. You're Dean Martin. What are you known for? The ladies, the booze, and the songs. Okay?" So Dean says, "Well, what are you trying to say?" "Look, you should have a piano bar, and you should walk out and have a drink in your hand. You know? And you should have a flock of girls around you, and we'll call them the Golden Girls. Okay?"
Whoa! I didn't know that. That's crazy,
So,
John.
yeah, the Gold Diggers, I think they're called. Anyway, Dean said, "If I can talk them into giving me one more chance, will you host my show?"
I feel that.
He said, "No. I mean, will you produce my show?" And he said, "No." And
No, I can feel that.
he says, "Because you got no taste sometimes when it comes to guests. If I'm going to be the producer, I have to have final say who the guests are." And Dean says, "That's wonderful because I hate to think. So I want you to do that." They shook hands. That handshake never made it into writing. And when Dean Martin died, that handshake held up in court. Greg Garrison owned half of everything that Dean Martin owned. Dean Martin became the largest shareholder in RCA. The largest single. He became a billionaire just because of that suggestion. Now we get to me. I got two stories about being
John, real quick. I want to tell you why I love that story. Because I just feel that, like, there's so many people out
Yeah,
there
I need to drink me some of my
that
damn
think
dubby.
if they do what somebody else did, that they're going to get the same results. And that's a big problem we have in society right now, where it's not really about equal opportunity. They want equal results, right? And that's not how life works. And the fact that somebody told Dean Martin is like, "You're not doing you."
Dean Martin.
Right? Yeah. So, like, I don't know if you know this comedian, John, but his name is...
Good night, Big Pimpin'. Stay safe out there.
He's a very big comedian right now. He's the Italian celebrity right now. He's the big Italian celebrity, and we used to go on the road together. And now he's going to be the first comedian to play this new dome in LA called the Intuit Dome. That he's going to be the first comic to play, right? You know, he just did the Hollywood Bowl with all these big guys. So we used to co-headline together. And, you know, the notion that if I would have done what Sebastian did, we would be in the same place is ridiculous. It worked because that was Sebastian. And so when you hear somebody, and I want people to listen to this, like, you have to know you and then play to your strengths in life. That's the key to all of it.
You know what imitation is? Imitation is a sincerest form of a lack of talent. So now I'm going to get back to Dean.
Thank you for sharing.
That's a great story, dude. That's a great story.
I'm not finished with Dean. The next is yet to come. It also involves Red Fox, because Red Fox was my mentor as a comic when I started as a comic. And when I got my first entertainment show, I put him on as a guest. And everybody opposed my having him on the show because he used to do these filthy party records. But I knew how witty he could be. Because once when I described Jim Garrison to him as being such a hero, Red Fox said, "Heroes ain't born, they're cornered."
That's great. Wow.
It's the truth, because Jim Garrison was cornered by the only dissenting member of the Warline Commission, Congressman Yovan, which we'll get to later, because I have two really important Dean Martin stories that though, was after the time I had hosted the AM show and lost my job because I tried to book Jim Garrison after reading his book, Heritage of Stone. But I forgot it. I thought, Sam, that's show business. You have 2 weeks, you have a week, you have a month, you have a year, and then you're gone. So anyway, in the Dean Martin show, like all variety shows, they have a dress rehearsal. And the dress rehearsal is before a live audience. And they
Where the hell did that fucking
so anyway,
armor go to?
stage, and they put me in front of the camera. Greg Harrison's up in the booth. He says, "Okay, John, let's go." So I start to do the reason they booked me. It was a routine I did when I was first on the Merv Griffin show. And by the way, when Merv Griffin left Westinghouse to go to CBS, I was signed at his recommendation to Westinghouse to replace him. And so my ratings were higher than his because I did stand up and he only did that song. And the routine was that, I'm half, my mother's Scotch, my father's Jewish. My mother's Jewish, my father's Scotch, which means you can mix anything with Scotch. I was very embarrassed because I was the only kid in synagogue with a plaid skull cap. And you don't know how tough it is to play the bagpipe. I hovered again on the bagpipe, and I always got big laughs. Anyway, Greg Garrison hollers upstairs. He says, "Hold it, John, hold it, hold it." He comes downstairs, and he puts his arm around me. He says, "John, I go to the jazz club, and I see you doing some really good political stuff." And he said, "These shows are going to rerun for 30 or 40 years. Do you think you could do maybe a couple of political jokes that might last that long?" Or I said, "Oh, Mr. Garrison, gee, I don't know." He said, "Well, if I give you a couple of minutes to walk around, what do you think about it?" And the audience is smiling, and a couple of people applaud because they're inside show business. So I start walking around. After 2 minutes, it pops into my head. Wow, crystal clear. So I tap the mic. "Hey, Greg, can I come up and tell you what the joke is?" He says, "You're not swearing?" "No." "We're not going to be sued?" "No." "Okay. Forget the Jew stuff and do the new joke." And the audience applauds. So I look at the audience and I said, if you've been reading the paper lately, you'll see that Lyndon Johnson's daughter is engaged to a pilot named Charles Robb. And they all smile. And I said, what you don't know, haven't heard of, though, that Earl Warren, who was the head of the Supreme Court, wants to do the service. And they smile and they nod. And he calls the president and says, "Mr. President, I would like to do the service. It would be an absolute honor." And President Johnson turns him down. And nobody knows why he turns him down, but here's why he turns him down. He says, "Listen, Earl, after what you did, screwing up that goddamn Warren Commission, I don't want to look back in 13 years and find out my daughter ain't married." Well, Sam, you heard the biggest most thunderous applause I ever heard, because I didn't think anybody thought about Jim Garrison or thought about John Kennedy or thought about that. People were standing up and cheering. Ray rushes down with a guy in a blue suit.
Oh, here we go.
There's standards and practices. They have no standards, and that's what they practice. And the guy says, "You were not doing that joke." And I said, "Hey, hold it. I didn't say anything about Lee Harvey Oswald didn't do it or anything like that. It's just about the Warren." NBC stands behind the Warren report. You're not going to do that.
Oh my God. That is so crazy to me.
Greg puts his arm around me, waves to the audience, says, "Sorry, but John's got to do the Jew stuff again." So I do that, and I'm a huge hit. monster hit. Because they like me. Because of what I said before. Not these birthday jokes. When it's over, Greg calls me to come upstairs. And I think, oh my God, they're going to offer me a show. That's good. So I go upstairs, and Greg says to me, wonderful show, good for you. You know what, John, my favorite women are brunettes. What the hell is this for? And my very favorite brunettes are Mexican. I just love them. Now I know what he's talking about. He's talking about my wife, Sarita. Sarita looked to dance better than Ginger Rogers. Sarita looked like Jennifer Jones. She was knockdown gorgeous. Every day, celebrity's the biggest working. So he says, do you mind if I ask her out? And I say, Greg, hold on. You have a reputation of fucking everybody's wife down. I'm not sure you don't. And ask for permission
I just
to
need to
follow her
trade gear
wives.
with you.
Take them to Motel 6 or do whatever it is you do. So don't be asking me. Ask Sarita. So did you give me permission to ask Sarita? I said, absolutely. So I start to walk out the door, and I'm really pissed. And then I stop, and I turn, and I say, hey, Greg, do you think you have more sex appeal than Frank Sinatra? He said, what are you talking about? I said, well, you know, Sinatra hits on her all the time. I mean, often and real. And she always turns him down. Now, you think you're more appealing than Mr. Sinatra, you go ahead and ask her. And then he says to me, you can kiss your ass and demark the sugar body. Whoa! So I leave, and it doesn't matter to me.
That's crazy. And that just totally fits into what garbage Hollywood is. Like, hey, dude, either let me bang your wife or you lose your show.
Everything we hear all the time.
Oh my! Like every day, I get more and more excited about my journey and where I am in my life. Where I don't realize I got to work with scumbags. Like that, scumbags.
Oh, okay, now this is even better. Oh my God!
Our little sanctuary revival project has really helped.
Because Red Fox was my closest friend. When I had him on my entertainment show, his name was John Sanford. And Norman Lear saw him there, and Red Fox ad-libbed one of the funniest lines in the history of television. And I'll tell you what the line is. And I was embarrassed to ask the question because I knew his act, and I knew when he could be clean and funny. For example, he walked out, and you know those pants the Scots wear when they play golf, they're rolled up.
Yeah.
Called knickers. So when I introduced Red,
Here we go.
There you go. And Red comes out and just is looking at the audience. Doesn't say a word. The audience is giggling, and he points at me. It's his knickers. He says, I just came back from the South. I heard this name a lot, so I thought I'd buy some. Okay, so Red sits down, and I ask him about black power. At the time of the black power. He says, I don't care about black power. I don't care about white power because I only care about green power because you got the money. You can buy the places where the whites and blacks hold their meat. This is what I had lived in. The story I did. I didn't know what he was going to say. And I leaned back, and you can see it on YouTube. I leaned back and I said, Red, why do you think money's colored green? Without missing a beat, he says, oh, that's because Jews pick it before it gets ripe. Oh my God. What a
Fire! Oh, dude. So quick. To be that quick, man. Yeah. Red Fox the best. I love Red Fox.
He and Jackie Mason were the two quickest comics I ever known. And my first pilot for Real People at ABC, Jackie Mason was going to be my consumer advocate. Now we get to the best part. of the Fox story.
Great voices too, by the way. Jackie Mason and Red Fox. Two of the greatest voices.
I remember Jackie Mason's first joke when I was deported from the United States twice. I don't want to get into the first story, which could be a movie. It's hilarious. It was in the mid '50s. I was not a comic. I didn't even know I could write or do anything like that. I was just here wanting to be in America. I didn't want to be in Canada. And he's on the Ed Sullivan Show. And his first line was, "I'm so insecure when I go to a football game." And they go, "I think you're talking about me." It's a joke. And we became friends for life, as I did with Red Fox, and helped him get his one-man show in Hollywood, which led to a series of shows in New York City. I got thousands of these stories, but in any event, Red Fox's name was John Sanford. Norman Lear acquired a property called Steptoe and Son from England, turned it into Sanford and Son, and he called himself Fred because his older brother, whom he really admired, died. That's why he became Fred Sanford on the show. And he was Malcolm X's closest friend. They stole and went to jail together. And if you go to my website, if you go to johnbarbersworld.com, you will see a dozen interviews with Red Fox, and he talks about going to jail with Malcolm X and sleeping on the roof of buildings in the wintertime because he had no place to sleep. But anyway, being so close. And also with Sinatra. Okay, so Dean Martin now goes on to do the roast. And I am Frank Sinatra's private writer for 4.5 years. When he gets the Tonight Show, because he was not fond of Johnny Carson.
Who wasn't?
And Johnny Carson tried to get rid of me a half a dozen times for 5 years that I was in consecutive entities at NBC. I never had a contract. I was fired 3 times and brought back the next day by public demand. Carson was just the most insecure drunk I ever met. I don't want to tell this story, but okay. So, but I will tell you this story about Frank Sinatra. He is going to be roasted on the Dean Martin Show. So he calls me up. Now, at the time, I'm working on the revival of Laugh-In as their critic at large and writing the stuff for Sinatra. And I'm the only one who wants to write his jokes. And so Slaughter and the staff of 16 writers, he fires them all except for me. I'm on there. And that's a show we introduced Robin Williams on. And, oh my God, what an explosion of talent. In any event, Francis calls me, and he says, "I'm going to be on Dean's Roast, and you're going to be your first one on the dais." And I said, "Greg Garrison is going to let you book me on that show." He said, "Yeah, I'm going to call right now." He calls back in about 2 minutes. He says, "What the fuck did you do to Greg Garrison?" I said, "No." And he said, "I wouldn't call Dean because Dean had promised Greg that he could produce the show, so I'm really sorry about that." I said, "Hey, don't be sorry at all. For God's sake, you know what an honor it is for me? I was an orphan kid when I was 17. Now I'm writing and friends with the most prominent entertainer in America, and I don't give a shit if anybody knows it. I know it, and it makes me happy. Well, something will happen." So anyway, he gets the Tonight Show and calls me and says, "Okay, now it's your turn to be on the Tonight Show." Now, if you go to my YouTube, you will see the 5 minutes that I wrote turned into almost 10 minutes. And there's a great story about how Carson tried to sabotage me there. But back to Dean Martin.
Bro, that's so crazy. Go back to D. What do you want to get into one more time? Or pick up.
Okay, first off, I've got to tell you, there is no profession harder than being a comic. You got a singer, you got a band behind you, you're a soldier, you got a gun in your hand, you got soldiers. But when you're a comic, you have to stand there, bare naked soul, and make people laugh. And in my book is about 20 pages of all the great comics that I have known. I spent the last week with Lenny Bruce before the police murdered him. But I don't want to get to that. I just want to finish telling you a story. Now, Red Fox is going to be on the Dean Martin show in the Rose. So he calls me and says, I'm going to be on the Rose. We're going to be on the Rose. So I said, I do not think so. You haven't talked to Mr. Garrison yet. He's going to get right back to you. So he goes into the office and he gives him a list of the comics. And Garrison says, oh, give me the list. He tears off. He throws it in the trash. And he says, Red, there will be no John Barber on this roast. And Red said, then find yourself another neighbor.
Oh, man! Bang, bang, pow! Bang, bang, pow!
Now, Greg has no choice except to call me. And he said, listen, I hate making this phone call, but the only way I can get Red on the show is to have you on, and I'll have some of the guys write stuff for you. I said, hold a second. You're not going to have anybody write anything for me, ever. I write my own stuff all the time, and I will write 4 or 5 minutes because I know you got a lot of people coming on the show. If you do not like it in your office, I will not do the show, and I'll tell Red I don't want to do the show because I'm not invited. So I go into his office. There's nobody there except me and him.
Dude, this is crazy, right?
And I give him my 5 minutes, and he stares at me. Whoa. He said, my fucking writers could write like that. Got me 5 minutes. Okay. I said, now the other thing you're going to do. What do you mean the other thing I'm going to do? You're on. That's enough. I said, listen, you have all the comics on the dais. And the audience is up there, and in front of the audience are these cue cards with all the fucking jokes on them. You're not putting my stuff on a cue card. It's up here in my head, and that's where it's going to stay. Okay? So he says, okay, now that's what happened. Now my 4 or 5 minutes turns into 10 minutes. Gee, you know what? I will tell you, the biggest laugh, the best joke ever written at that time was a joke that I wrote about Red Fox. No, I want you to see it in its entirety. It's 4 minutes. You go to YouTube, you Google D-Mark Roads with Red Fox and John Barber. So I don't want to repeat it because, anyway, I killed. And the 5 minutes went to 10. And Dean comes up and he puts his arm around me like that.
John Barber, but it's D. Oh,
I have it here.
okay. Oh, you found it? You got it. All right, we're going to play it real quick. Let's hear
Oh,
it.
it's only 3 or 4 minutes. Play it.
Is it this?
John Barber roast Red Fox, March 1st, 1974.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, it's 2 minutes, 2 seconds. Let's hear it.
Oh, I know, right?
You turn up, guys? It was great.
Where were you, Sam?
Where was I? I was.
He's the
2 years
guy
old.
that told Red, guest his emotion.
Nobody cooler than Dean Martin.
Fiction television critic John Barber. He's the guy that told Red that his nightclub act was pornographic. Red thought that was a compliment, and he went out and had his picture taken. Ladies and gentlemen, here's NBC's critic at large, Mr. John Barber. gentlemen, and those of you who are uncommitted to either sex, for 10 years I have called Red Fox friend. For 10 years he called me Bob. Red Fox knows me well. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege for me to be here this evening. Warner Red Fox is the man of the week. You know, it's all good to set up. Known throughout America as Baja Pittsburgh. Today we've seen a lot of changes in society and children that people do. Red Fox and Sammy Davis was a Negro. Then he became a black. Then he embraced Judaism. And he was Jewish until he embraced Nixon. Now he's a Negro.
Hey, fire, bud. Fire.
He puts his arm around me and said, wow, I had to listen to that shit for 10 minutes. The audience screams because here's their idol Dean Martin saying shit in front of the world, and oh my God. Well, I don't let anybody go my material shit. I turned to Dean and I said, Dean, in the words of our esteemed guest, fuck you! Everybody fell off their seats. Jesus Christ, how could Johnny Barger do such a horrible thing like this? He would destroy his career. Laugh, oh my God, it was absolute thunder because it went all around the country. Because that was a beat in New York and everything else. And yet, I became a closer friend to Dean after that show when we played golf together often. And the same happened when I was a critic. When I bombed Burt Reynolds unbelievably, and I'm doing a Saturday night show for 90 minutes on NBC, calls up and he says, hey, what time do I have to be there? I didn't book you. He said, I don't give a shit. I'm going to be there and I'm going to be on your show. That's the best interview Burt Reynolds ever did in his life. And the same thing happened with Neil Simon. I blasted Neil Simon because he did the Sunshine Boys. And I said, you know, if royalties were paid to William Shakespeare, he still wouldn't make as much money as Neil Simon. Neil Simon does not need major studios like Fox or NBC, MGM or Universal to do his movie. If he loves his work, he pays for it himself. And in New York, the Sunshine Boys stars Sam Levine and Jack Alverson. Two real Jews playing two real Jewish comics. They were so good. Anybody who was Presbyterian could identify with them. Anybody who was Catholic, okay? So now he comes out here to Hollywood. 20th Century Fox turns it into a film. Walter Matthau gets the only bad performance in his life. George Burns the only poor performance in his life. And I said the next thing that Simon has to write is a letter firing himself as his own casting director.
That's so funny.
That's what he did. And you know what? I wasn't expecting the show. Here's a small book. It's called The Greatest Reviews I Ever Read. And it's written by a woman who wrote 6 novels, but she was the one who helped edit my big book, Your Mother's Not a Virgin. Discovered I was a film critic for 10 years at LA Magazine.
roasting Red Fox. That's him.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
what I do find
tell me
very
all.
amazing is when John is talking about the impact of this roast, and we just had this big of Tom Brady's football, and a good friend of ours
Sorry,
went
guys.
up there and kind of like
The one
changed
person
his life.
actually is watching.
I mean, he was already killing it, but like this brought him to another level. And he was doing jokes that were very, John, when you were doing the jokes that you were talking about, it really blew my mind because it is kind of parallel to what we just saw my friend go through, these societal norms that he's pushing back again. And it's interesting to me because the blue, and this is kind of, when you kind of look at like where